Hi, I'm Andy and welcome to a Watch Crave video. First of all, Happy New Year, and I hope everyone has had a wonderful break over the past few weeks. Now that 2024 has dawned upon us, have you got your New Year resolution sorted? And have you got a wish list of watches you would like to get your hands on this year? If you do, feel free to share in the comment section below. As for today, we'll be having a look at the Bottony S2025, a Dirty Dozen homage. As you can see, this is a field watch, which is a breath of fresh air for this channel. Since the inception of this channel, the watches that have been featured have all been dive watches. While I do like all kinds of watches, I tend to lean toward dive watches these days, so it's likely that we'll see more of them being featured on the channel in the future. Now, there's something I have to confess. I'm just a guy who got into watches a few years ago, so I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to watches and their history. Therefore, I had to do a bit of research on what exactly is a Dirty Dozen. Turns out, Dirty Dozen is the name of a movie, and also a name given to a group of 12 watches that were created in 1945. These watches were commissioned by the British Ministry of Defence for their troops near the end of World War II. They sent out a design brief to 13 Swiss watchmakers. The requirements were that the watch has to have a black dial, Arabic numerals, luminous hour and minute hands, luminous hour markers, a railroad minute track, a shatterproof crystal, and a stainless steel case. Finally, the movement powering them should have 15 joules, and the diameter should be between 11.75 and 13 linear, or 26.5 and 29.3 millimeters in the metric system. Out of the 13 watch companies, 12 managed to fulfill the requirements, leading to the Dozen nickname. Some of these brands still exist today, and are still very popular. For example, Omega, Longines, IWC, and Jaeger-LeCoultre. My apology if I butcher the pronunciation for JLC. This Bottony S2025 isn't an exact homage of any of the 12, but it does bear a pretty close resemblance to the IWC and the JLC version in my opinion. I've had my eyes on this watch and the Bottony brand for quite a while now, but have always prioritized buying other watches instead. However, I finally managed to pick up this watch in the AliExpress sales in November last year. Bottony actually has a few Dirty Dozen homages in their catalog, ranging from 36mm to 39mm in diameter, and quartz to mechanical movement. I went with this watch for a couple of reasons. One was the small seconds mechanical movement in the watch, as I've always wanted one in my collection. The second was the 36 diameters of the watch, as it's quite faithful to the original Dirty Dozen size, and also good for my small wrist. For this particular model, there are only two variations you can get, a black dial and a cream texture dial. You can then opt for either a fabric nater, leather nater, or a two-piece leather strap. I went for the black dial and two-piece leather option. For the price, there's no difference in pricing for different dial options, but there are for strap options. As of this video, on the official Bottony website, the fabric strap option starts at $168, followed by the leather strap at $174, and finally the leather nater at $177. Compared to most other Dirty Dozen homages out there, I had to admit the price is quite steep. However, one thing to note is that this is one of, if not the only Dirty Dozen homage that comes with a mechanical movement and a small second complication. Bottony also offers a similar and more affordable version, the Bottony S2019 for $99. However, that one is powered by a quartz movement. The watch can also be purchased from the Bottony official AliExpress store, and the prices seems to be similar there as well. If you want to save a bit of money, I suggest waiting for one of the big AliExpress sales and buy the watch then. For the packaging, Bottony opts for something a little different than other AliExpress brands. Instead of the usual Pelican case, we have a hardshell EVA case with the Bottony logo. The case is open and closed with a zipper. Along with the case, we also have the usual warranty card, manual, cleaning cloth, and a spring bar tool. Now with all of that out of the way, let's move on to the specs and dimensions. The watch diameter measures at 36mm, which is similar to the original Dirty Dozen. It is about 12.8mm thick. This thickness includes the dome sapphire crystal. The lug width is 18mm, which is again very faithful to the original Dirty Dozen specs. The lug-to-lug distance is about 43.3mm, making this watch very wearable on all kinds of wrist sizes. For the watch glass, the watch sports a dome sapphire crystal with plenty of AR coating. I've heard a lot of praises from other reviewers for Bottony watch crystal, and I have to admit, the watch dome crystal is beautiful and very clear. The water resistant rating is 100 meters according to Bottony's website. The watch has a screw down crown and case back, so it should be fine if you decide to take it for a swim. With the leather strap, the watch weighs in at 70 grams. For the movement, this watch is running with the Seagull ST1701 movement. The ST1701 is an automatic movement that beats at 3 Hz or 21,600 beats per hour. It has a power reserve of 40 hours. The movement does not have any date complication, but does have a small second-hand complication. The movement offers hand wind, but not hacking. What this means is that when you pull out the crown to set the time, the second hand does not stop. As for the accuracy rating, I couldn't find any official information around the manufacturer's accuracy range. But this particular watch is running at plus 5 seconds per day. Not too shabby. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I've heard that Botany regulates their watches during production. Next up, let's have a closer look at the watch. For the case, we have a stainless steel case with a sandblasted finish. The finish looks smooth and uniform. Despite the small size, the case still has a nice weight to it. The corners and edges have been rounded off slightly, however, the inner tips of the lugs may feel a bit sharp. For the back of the case, we have a sterile screw-down case back that is brush finish. Pretty boring looking in my opinion. I would have liked it more if they engraved some details on the case back, like the broad arrow and some sort of serial number, similar to how it was done on the original watches. For the crown, this watch features a screw-down crown. While screw-down crown isn't a necessary feature for this style of watches, it's a welcome addition. The crown is also sandblasted finish similar to the case, however it is unsigned. The crown is a bit thinner than a dive watch crown, but it's easy to grip and operate. However, it does feel very gritty when screwing back in the crown. This isn't a major issue and could be a quality control thing, but regardless, this aspect can definitely be improved. Being a field watch, there's no rotating bezel here. Instead, we get a fixed bezel that's beveled and nicely finished, similar to the case. Onto the watch strap. The leather strap that comes with the watch is pretty good in my opinion. It's fairly easy to break into and also feels very comfortable on the wrist. It doesn't feel cheap, but doesn't feel expensive either. There's no quick release though, so you have to fiddle with a spring bar tool in order to change the strap. The strap's buckle also has a sandblasted finish, pretty good as it matches with the case. It would be even better if the buckle is signed with the Botany name or logo. Onto the dial, we have a black matte dial. The indices are embossed in color white and also filled with a decent amount of BGW9 lume. Below the 12 o'clock, we have a printed Botany brand and the broad arrow icon. At the 6 o'clock position, we have a recessed sub-dial dedicated to second hand. While you can't quite see it normally, zooming in you can see that the details on that sub-dial has been executed very well. At the edge of the dial, we have a printed railroad style chapter ring. All arrow markers on this track have been applied with green lume. For the hands, we have a set of cathedral hands. The outlines of the hands are silver and have a polished finish. The hands are filled with platina color lume. The lume color itself is green. Finally, there's a white needle style second hand in the sub-dial, which has been also applied with blue lume. Since the watch face has been applied with a lot of lume, it looks really nice when there's no light. The lumes are bright and make the watch very legible in the dark. Unfortunately, the lume on the second hand is a bit weak and will be the first one to fade. The rest of the lume lasts for a decent amount of time. So how does it fit on my small wrist? Well, being at only 36mm in diameter and around 44mm in length, it fits very comfortably on my modest sized wrist. Those with a wrist size bigger than 7.5 inches may find this watch a little small for their liking, but it's still a very wearable watch in my opinion. The leather strap that the watch comes on is also very comfortable. The only other strap option that could beat this is probably a nylon or fabric NATO strap in my opinion. This is the kind of watch that is not only versatile in all seasons, but also perfect for the hot summer days. So, what are my thoughts on this watch? In my opinion, this is a Dirty Dozen homage that has been flawlessly executed. It's not a one-to-one homage of any original Dirty Dozen, but simply a watch that took inspiration from the original 12. The watch case is well finished and also rounded off nicely. It also has a screw-down crown and case back, which is great for water resistant. The dome sapphire crystal is very nice and has some of the best AR coating I've seen so far. The dial is simple yet legible. There's a lot of elements that have been applied with lume down to the second hand, and the lume is quite good. Finally, the leather strap that comes with the watch is not too shabby. For the cons, I don't have anything bad to say about this watch. If I really have to nitpick, number 1 on the list would have to be the non-hacking limitation of the ST1701 movement, and even this is a subjective thing. Number 2 would be the unsigned crown and buckle. A signed crown and buckle would make the watch feel more premium. Number 3 would be the gritty crown. Finally, the last point would have to be the price. North of $150 is not cheap, especially for a field watch from AliExpress. The price tag actually kept me from buying this watch for a long time, since it's quite a big increase from the more affordable quartz model. But since I was after a small watch with a small second mechanical movement, there's not many other attractive options beside this watch. And that brings us to the end of this video. What do you think about this watch? Are you interested in getting your hands on one? If you already got one, what are your thoughts about the watch? Feel free to drop a comment down below and let us know. If you find this video enjoyable or helpful, please click the like button and subscribe for future videos. As a new channel, I really appreciate your support. Until next time.